friends, I'm Tina from Teach the TK Way, and I want to welcome you back to the Natural Classroom Specialist Program video series, where we've been learning all about how we can design and create natural classroom inspired spaces. Even in distance learning models, we've kind of, added that piece over the last few weeks. And so I'm so glad that you're able to join me, and welcome back to anybody who's been here. And if you're new, then you can go ahead and watch the last 3 videos in the Facebook page. So we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. So let's recap. Excuse me. And so for the last few weeks, we've been chatting about some different things. First, we started talking about who you are as a natural classroom specialist. Do you connect with the hodgepodge teacher, which is what I am? That's the teacher who basically brings in recycled items from the school storage unit. She borrows from, or he borrows from other teachers and faculty. You find things at Goodwill. You even repurpose and reuse things from home. And so this is kind of the hodgepodge teacher. There's no real theme. We are just using what we have. And so that is probably the easiest and number one kind of teacher that can do this model on a budget. Now, if you already have items in place, then budget is super easy to take care of, because I'm going to show you how to repurpose what you have into something fantastic and beautiful. So you might be the minimalist teacher who's looking for just black and white and gray. You might be the au naturel teacher who's looking to bring in real live items, real live plants, real live animals, pets in the classroom, that sort of a thing, and science concepts and different pieces like that. Now, you could just be the teacher who has decided that, you know what, this neutral tone is not for me. So you're the vibrant teacher. You're going to start with a neutral base, but you are definitely going to bring in those pops of color. And that is absolutely okay. Tonight, we're actually going to talk about how you can do that without overwhelming your students visually. Now, the second thing we talked about was the decluttering stage. And I know right now it's really important that we are not only decluttering, but we're also sanitizing and cleaning everything. If you cannot get into your school or your classroom right now, all is not lost. Take this time to plan out what your storage is going to look like. Plan out what you want this space to look like when you're finished. I know that I do have an area that still needs to be decluttered, and even though I can't get into there right now, I know that I can go ahead and make a plan for how I'm going to declutter, how I'm going to store the items that are there, and what I'm going to do to change it up once I am back in the classroom. Now, the biggest thing that we want to talk about is that whatever we're doing, we are doing it with intention. And so even during this time where we can't be in our classrooms, we know that we can actually be intentional about the things that we want to bring back in. So then we talked about plants, and we talked about plants to purify the air. We talked about plants for de-stressing yourself, your students, anybody that comes in. And we talked about plants as a way to create learning concepts. And that is how we're going to be intentional with plants. Now, I love plants, so you can have as many as you want in a classroom. But if you know that you're kind of that minimalist teacher and you're not looking to just kind of overwhelm the space with plants, be intentional and use them as learning concepts, because that will add value to your classroom, and it will also bring in that de-stressing and air purifying concept as well. So the one thing that I did forget to talk about last week in our plant video was the concept of forest therapy. And so instead of adding that to this video, you guys are actually going to get a bonus video this week. And it's going to be kind of my nature study book club is what I'm calling it. And basically it's going to be a review of my top favorite books over the last 10 years that I've read about bringing nature into the classroom, nature-based learning, Reggio concepts, Montessori concepts. I'm trying to think. All of the books that I've read, basically, that add to what I'm teaching you. And so I'm going to do a little bonus video in as a book study, and it will go out this week as well. And we will chat about forest therapy in there because I've read a couple of books on forest therapy. So this week we're going to talk all about color. And when you're choosing colors for your classroom, again, I want you to be intentional with what you are doing. So I know a lot of us cannot change the color of the walls. It depends on the facility, it depends on the program that you're in. And I'm going to give you some key concepts as to how you would go about bringing color and lighting into your space, even if you can't change the colors on the wall. But I want you to think about kind of what's there. We talked about decluttering, taking down some of those anchor charts and different things, and just getting rid of that visual overstimulation. So what I want to tell you is that children's visual discrimination is not fully developed until about age 12. So if they come into a space and they're having to decide between all of these things to look at, they're already overwhelmed and stressed before they have ever walked in the door, before they've ever sat down to do their first activity of the day. So that's why we decluttered the walls. Now, if your walls are these bright, overwhelming colors, then that's something else you're going to need to think about. So if you can change the colors of your walls, then the idea is to choose neutral colors, something kind of calming, something that is not overwhelming and kind of out there. So blues, greens, tans, golds, even kind of an off-white color if that's all you're able to do, just so that it mutes the color aspect in the classroom. So I want you to think about the color families that you're choosing. So those blues and greens, those are all going to evoke feelings of serenity and calm. If you use the yellow family, yellows and orange is vibrant and it's full of energy. And so if everything in your classroom is in the yellow family, you are adding energy to the space without adding children to the space. So that energy is going to carry throughout your classroom. So just kind of keep that in mind. The other thing is colors in the red family can cause anger. They can cause feelings of anxiousness and anger in some children, not in everybody. Red is my favorite color, but I keep it out of the classroom, or at least to a minimum. And the reason for that is because it can agitate some people. So I use it very sparingly. All right. So the base color in a vibrant classroom does not have to be tan, white, brown, dull. It doesn't. What you can do is you can use those serene colors, blues, greens, mint, gold. You can kind of have, some pale yellows. Use some of those colors that would be more on the serene side. And those can be your base color. And then if you are the vibrant teacher, you can add pops of other colors. So I like kind of a green base with pops of mauve and charcoal, black. Obviously I use black a lot, but you can bring in those pops of colors. So when we're thinking of these color families and color combinations, blues and greens go well together. Tan goes well with a muted red, like a barn red, a deep mahogany type red. Gray and mauve are beautiful colors together. Charcoal and purple are a favorite as well. So it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be bland. It doesn't have to be all brown. It just has to be intentional, and you want to stick to color families that work well together and are not contrasting too much with one another. So the biggest thing that I notice when I'm helping teachers design these spaces is they get hung up in that color scheme and they forget about their lighting. And what happens with that is if your lighting is minimal in your space, it really doesn't matter what color you want to choose. But if there is no lighting, you're going to need to choose a lighter color. If it's a dark classroom, you don't want to choose, dark gray walls and dark mahoganies and things like that. You want lighter wall colors so that you can actually brighten the space. So we're also going to add lamps and reflective spaces in these darker rooms. All right, so if the room is bright and airy already, then you can use darker jewel tones for accent colors, and then also for things like the walls and stuff like that as a contrast. In thinking about lighting, you're going to turn off half of the overhead lights. And so in my classroom, I'm thankful there are actually 2 switches. I can turn half of them off. So you're going to go ahead and turn off half of those overhead lights. And what this is going to do is allow you to take down some of that artificialness of the fluorescent lighting that most classrooms have. So I know that this can be an issue based on safety in some areas to open the blinds. So it kind of depends on if you have a bank of windows, what they're looking out toward. But if you have an opportunity to open half of your open your blinds and turn off half of your overhead lighting, then go ahead and do that. Because what that's going to do is allow that natural light to come into the space. Now, in my classroom, we actually face a street, and I'm not super comfortable having the whole row of windows open all day, every day. So what I do instead is I twist the blinds so that they are facing up. They're allowing the light in, but at an angle. So from outside, you can't see into our classroom, but that natural lighting is actually being allowed in because I've cracked the blinds just in a different angle. So something to think about. In the areas where there are not a lot of light, or there isn't a lot of light, kind of, offset from your windows, think kind of the dark corners. Those are the spaces that I like to add lamps and reflective surfaces. So you can hang mirrors. Mirrors at a child's level are just fabulous. They love to look at themselves. They love to build things next to the mirror so that they can actually see what they're doing from all angles. I have a whole wall of mirrors in the block center, so they are able to build, and it looks like a whole town or a whole city reflecting in the mirrors. But those mirrors reflect that natural light, and they actually help brighten the space as well. All right, so I'm going to be leaving a checklist for you in the comments again this week, and it's all about lighting opportunities and ways to add light into your classroom space. So come back to our Facebook page, share your comments and your questions, share your spaces. If you're setting up a distance learning area and you're adding plants and you're adding, some lighting to that, come back and share it with me. We all kind of want to see what's going on right now. You can follow me on Instagram at Teach the TK Way. And if you direct message me your pictures, I will actually showcase them in my stories and show them to other people. So we're excited to be creating a community of natural classroom specialists by doing that. So speaking of my Instagram, right now in my stories, I am doing a science unit. And what has happened is with all of our new distance learning models, my beneficial insect program came home with me. So you guys can share with your students right now. I am sharing all of our ladybug larvae and their metamorphosis. I have a praying mantis egg, and we are watching the metamorphosis of that. And I have caterpillars, painted lady butterfly caterpillars, and we are watching the metamorphosis of that as well. And I brought home my microscope, and so I've been able to get some really cool up close and personal videos of these insects, and so I'm sharing that in my Instagram stories, and there's a highlight under science, so you guys can always go back and check those as well, and then feel free to share them with all of your students as well. So that way everybody benefits right now with what we've got going on. And then I just wanted to kind of let you guys in on a little secret. I have this top secret announcement that is coming next week. It will be coming to your inbox. So if you are not already on my list, you can grab the free Master Guide to Natural Classrooms and get on the list, and then you will be one of the first people to hear about secret that is coming your way. So the Master Guide to Natural Classrooms is a 17-page guide, and it will help you get started on your way to creating and designing your own space. It's completely free. You just put in your email and we'll send it right over to you. So a lot of people have been having some really good benefits from using that. They were using it, kind of before the distance learning model. And I've had a few friends who are putting it into place in their home office currently and have been having good results. So let me know. I want to see your results. So I've had a blast chatting with all of you over the last few weeks. It's been amazing. I cannot wait to see all of these amazing learning spaces that start popping up on Facebook and Instagram. If you have any additional questions, you can go ahead and leave those in the comments and I will get back to you. And until then, friends, happy learning.